everybody, welcome back to Feedback Loop. I'm Joey.
And I'm Jeremy.
And it has been a long time for us, for you maybe. I don't know. We unintentionally.
Don't tell them. Don't tell
But-
them that I have not uploaded the last 4 episodes at this point. So it could be a matter of mere minutes between the last one and this one if I decide to start uploading them again.
I guess that's true. For us, we got our schedules mixed up and we're supposed to record last week. We didn't. So we're back now, hot at it.
It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks for us. So forgive us if we're rusty, as if we aren't always rusty.
We're always at peak form because our peak form is just not very good.
That's been my life forever. Like, set expectations so low that literally just meeting them is worthy of praise.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're back. This week we're gonna do one of our things where we just have a general topic. You know, this week's general topic is. It came about because, like, recently I have not been just feeling it at all, and I don't want to speak for Jeremy, but that's how I've been feeling.
Man, I haven't been feeling it for months. That's why I'm so far behind on uploading the feedback loop.
Yeah, and I don't mean feeling it as in like the podcast, just
right.
Just in general, just feeling
just low
life.
Mental health.
Yeah,
a low number of spoons.
Yeah, the
perhaps.
Spoons. Yes. I wake up with no spoons.
Yeah.
Every day.
You gotta go to the store and buy some spoons.
But I don't have any money. But so I've been feeling that way. And then there's been a couple of days of clarity in the recent past where I've like actively tried to listen to music and discover music as I had in the past. And I felt like it helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been doing it consistently because I'm just not good at keeping up with good habits. But
dude, same.
It I guess just how music can affect general mood and get me out of stuff, get us out of stuff, like mental stuff. And also, why does music do that, but other stuff doesn't? Like, I have so many other things that I feel like I enjoy, but if I act like playing guitar or even like trying to do stuff outside, I like hiking and I like playing video games that aren't RuneScape, and I like
I don't believe that.
But like, it's just like music is the only thing that whenever the bad feelings set in, I can kind of force myself to do, and it's actually semi-productive, and it makes me feel even just a little bit better.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and I think that's going to vary from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like some people might gravitate towards like TV shows or movies or something to help them with that, but music is such a like common thing, I think, for people because there's a certain like vulnerability to it, I think, and there's so much music out there that you can find music that you can agree with or music that you can relate to, I guess is the real way to say that, is that there's so much out there that you can like pretty easily find songs that you relate to and songs about the things that you've been feeling or thinking. And so like it's something that's interesting that it does have a seemingly magical quality to it, because it's almost like I'm not a religious person, but it's kind of like a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
The connection that you can have with art and music. And I think it's kind of difficult to have this discussion between us two because we are so like into music, right? There's not an outside perspective here on that thing. But I will say that maybe it's just an advanced level of depression or something. But like a lot of times recently, I'd say in the past like 6 months or something, I don't know, like is a thing with like having poor mental health when you like don't find joy in things that you used to or that you think you used to. And so it's cool that like you're able to always force yourself to listen to music, and that helps you pull yourself out of those things. I definitely have some things that I know will help me that are usually more like self-care things that pull me out of those kind of moods. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes, especially lately, it's like listening to music doesn't do that to me,
Yeah,
and that makes it hard to listen to music. I think sometimes. So there's been a lot like I just haven't been discovering as much music or listening to as much music in general um, lately. And that's not to say that I don't. I still do listen to music. Maybe even still more so than other people, like on average, because I know there are people that just straight up don't listen to music in their normal like day to day lives.
those aren't
But
normal
yeah,
people though.
I agree. It's
Those are
fucking it's
weird people.
those are weird people. But yeah, so there's like I don't know. There's definitely like obviously a connection between music and your mood, right? Like people, I think people universally can agree with that. That like if you listen to happy music, you're maybe going to be happier, and if you listen to sad music, like it affects your mood in some
Yeah,
way at the very like at a baseline, um, and it's something special that I agree that I don't think I can get elsewhere. That like I can't get from movies or TV shows or I think I can with like visual art, like paintings and stuff sometimes, but I have to like really like get into it. I guess it's easier for me to feel immersed in music
yeah,
and easier for me to like relate, I guess, to music than to other things because other things are so I guess it's interesting that like so much of other media is blatantly like fictional in a way that music isn't.
yeah,
There's so much
definitely.
music is almost always written from like a very real place of like a real human experience, whereas like movies and TV shows and whatever is all there's a lot of fantasy and fiction out there in those kind of forms, which makes it harder to relate to, I suppose.
Yeah, and strictly fictional music, it it kind of has like this corniness to it, really. Like I don't know,
That's
like
interesting.
horrorcore type stuff, like the
Sure.
really which I love me some like Misfits. I love Danzig. Used to listen to a lot of like Cannibal Corpse and bands that
Right.
would just, which I know there's other fictional music out there that's not just like supposed to fill like be popcorn horror movie, but
Right.
the music version. But that's just kind of what my mind goes to. But it's like it makes me think of like early fucking ICP where they were like, I'm a clown and I'm gonna fucking chop somebody with a hatchet and it's very bloody and I'm gonna describe how
Yeah.
it's like it's just I don't know, something about it just seems like really corny.
For
And
sure. That's interesting. Because I don't know, when my mind goes to like fictional music, I'm thinking of like space epic stuff,
oh yeah.
like Brendan Small's Galacticon or like Coheed and Cambria
Or 2112, the fucking
or
masterpiece of an
2112.
album.
Yeah, exactly, which is like clearly fictional.
Yeah.
I know 2112. I feel like Rush in general, like there's a lot of like symbolism and like
Yeah,
analogy to the real world.
definitely.
Um,
It
but yeah, I never would have gone in like the horror rock kind of thing for that.
that's like my idea of what like a music cartoon would be,
A
I
music
guess.
cartoon.
I don't know how much sense that
Interesting.
makes, but
I mean, I
that's where my
think
brain
I
went.
understand because cartoons are very like exaggerated, right, and
Yeah.
very like over the top, and in those ways like extreme metal and horrorcore stuff like that is definitely like cheesy, I guess in those ways. And it's those are the I mean that's the music that I don't listen to, right? That's it's not
Yeah.
easy for me to connect with that kind of music. Um, Not to say that I don't like really enjoy Coheed and Cambria or Brendan Small's Galacticon or anything, but yeah, I guess it's far more saturated in like other media to have those kind of fantastical stories or
Yeah.
things like that, which is maybe why people don't tend to resonate on like an emotional level as much. I mean, I guess there's the whole like rom-com genre, right, and chick flicks that
Yeah.
like a lot of people do resonate with in such extreme ways, but
It
I don't
definitely
watch those.
does. I do think you're right in saying that music in general comes from a much realer place than other
Yeah,
forms of media.
and
Like,
that's all we want,
yeah,
right? That's all. At the end of the day, we want to be able to connect
yeah,
with other people and know that we're not the only person that's ever going to experience what we're experiencing, and there's some weird like solace in knowing that like somebody else that is way better with words is explaining to like how they're feeling, and that sums up how I feel, kind of a thing.
yeah. And a lot of it is kind of like, and I think this is something that I like about Pile is that some of it's so vague
Yeah,
but so specific at the same time. Like it feels like it could fit a lot of different situations, and I feel like a lot of music, I say Pile because I love Pile, but
yeah,
there's a lot of music out there that can be interpreted in so many ways, and there's plenty of artsy movies that can be interpreted in all sorts of ways, but not in the same way that like five different people could be going through five kind of similar but completely different situations, listen to the
yeah,
same song, and it feels like it was written for them. Whereas those same five people could go watch the same movie, and you're going to see the same movie because it's a visual and an
yeah.
like an audio medium.
It's very
So
passive.
yeah,
Whereas like I mean I guess music is passive to some people, but it's also like you said, it's so vague and open to interpretation. And I think that's like there's another layer there that's like because of what songs are, and I'm going to clarify that. I know that in itself is incredibly vague,
what?
but like just the way that songs are generally structured, right, in popular music on radio and whatever, that they're not overly verbose, right?
Hmm.
They don't use a lot of words typically. They have 3 to 5 minutes typically to convey a message, and it's not 5 minutes of them talking. It's there's repetition in there, and
Hmm.
then there's a cyclical nature. There's kind of a growth, theoretically, a story to be told within that 5 minutes, whereas movies or television shows or whatever, in addition to having visuals to them that you can clearly see what Batman looks like, right? You can
Yeah,
see every detail of every character and every scene, right? They also have a lot longer time to explain a story, so they can provide more context and more detail and have a more, I guess, clear um story or a clear like meaning to them, right? Where there's less open to interpretation because of how detailed they can be. Whereas in music, you don't get that. You don't have context necessarily. You just
yeah,
have the words, you have the melody, and that's pretty much it. That's all music is, right? Is lyrics and sounds. And those sounds will affect you in different ways depending on who you are,
so
which
that's what
is
songs are.
that's what songs are. Yeah, it's the way that songs are. It was a very horrible sentence, but I guess I meant in
Life
context
needs
of
things to live, Jeremy.
exactly, exactly. Just like in the grand scheme of like media, right?
Yeah,
It's songs are unique in that they're by default, by nature of being a song, you're less detailed. You're not as descriptive. And again, I guess going back to Coheed and Cambria, they create a world, right?
hmm,
And they also have like comic books that go alongside them, but they tell a story over the course of an album. And like concept albums are a thing, right? That's not a unique to Coheed and Cambria thing. So you can get some longer form stuff, but typically music is very more like just vague by nature of being music.
yeah,
That's just the way it is, which means that
yeah,
you can find more ways to relate to it.
yeah. I like it. It's nice.
I do
It's
think something, I guess tying back to the original, not really tying back, circling back to the original prompt. I think it's interesting that like it works in multiple directions having music affect your mood so much, because like you can put on an album or a song that you really like and it'll change your mood, but
Hmm.
also the absence of music can like greatly impact your mood. Like I said, I haven't been listening to as much music in general, and I think that's also been negatively impacting my mental health, just because it's leaving a void of sorts that I just like. I guess it snowballs. It's like a feedback loop. The podcast that it like you have a bad day and you don't listen to music, and then you feel bad because you didn't listen to music, and then because you're feeling bad you don't listen to music, and it just kind of tends to get out of control sometimes with that. So like I'm a little bit jealous, I guess, when you say that you can kind of listen to something to snap back into your quote unquote true self to get you back out of those ruts, because sometimes it just doesn't work for me.
I'll be clear, it could have just been a fluke
Oh, for
because
sure.
I did listen to, which this was also something I was going to talk about. It's very like precarious to try to listen to, because something that I try to do, I really like this artist. I'm gonna say EDM just as a general
Sure.
like
I
genre.
don't think that's a slur anymore.
Well, I just know like people, even if it's not a slur, people are gonna come at me like, no, they're not. Nobody's listening to this.
Yeah, no,
If
it
people
doesn't
listen to
matter.
this, people would come at me and be like, no, he's this and this and this and this.
Yeah,
But Mr. Fiji Ouija,
sure.
generalized EDM guy, like electronic music
Yeah,
in general. I've been listening to, had used to listen to his music a whole lot back in the day, kind of just didn't for a while, and went back and listened to some of his newer stuff. Really liked it. It was great, and that put me in a better mood.
for sure.
I went back to Jacob Collier's Tiny Desk concert, the one that he did at the beginning of quarantine. He did it at home. It was a super cool Tiny Desk concert. Even if you don't necessarily like Jacob Collier, I feel like it's still cool and entertaining because he filmed himself in his room playing multiple instruments, and like the different versions of him are like interacting with the other versions of him. So
Sure.
like
Very
a lot of,
YouTube bait.
yeah, like a lot of production went into making it, I guess. So it's just a generally cool thing to watch.
Sure.
But so he has this song called He Won't Hold You, and he did kind of a stripped down version of it with just himself. And the first time I heard it, the first several times I heard it, it just like hit me in all sorts of ways. I went back and listened to it and did nothing. And that
Yeah.
killed me. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, this once sacred thing that I could look back on and be like, that was a great time. And now it's just like, I think I
Yeah.
like the album version better. And like, that just, I don't know, it hurt. And it's like, it's so hit or miss because either it's great and I'm like, this is amazing and I love this stuff, or it's like this wasn't as good of it was as I remember it being, and it kills the nostalgia that I live for, where I look back in the past and with rose tinted glasses and it just shatters them.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting in that like everything that we've said can be reversed and applied the other way, and that like the mood that you're in when you listen, like it has an impact on what you feel when you listen to something. And like if you're not in the same mood, right, for that song or that album or that kind of vibe of music, then like it's not going to hit the same. And
Mm-hmm.
that does feel bad. And I think it's why I typically like I don't have playlists, is because I feel like if I'm making a playlist, to be clear, I do have some playlists, but if I'm making a playlist, then it'll typically have a certain mood associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily make like concept playlists or anything like that, but just for general like moods, like if I have a playlist of like sad songs or whatever, um, I feel like I don't make a lot of other playlists just because they are so like dependent on being in a very specific mood for me. I think music requires a certain like, I don't know, certain going into something, you have to have a certain mindset, I guess, to get something out of it. This is very vague and not insightful at all. But yeah, I don't know. I don't. I guess I can't plan ahead. I'm bad at I don't make playlists because that is intentionally kind of saying I'm going to come back to this at some point and listen to these songs for this reason, and that might never actually be the situation that I'm ever in again, kind of a thing.
I feel that. I've had that issue a whole lot. I've gotten kind of away from making playlists just because, like, I don't know. It's weird. Being home all the time has made me feel like it's not necessary, I guess.
Yeah,
It used to be something like, oh, if I'm going to go on a drive or if I'm going to do whatever, then I can have this at the ready and I don't have to be like constantly searching for music. But now, like, I'm always at my computer
yeah.
and
You can't you kind of just free flow and bounce around a lot more easily
yeah,
than
it
if
does.
you're dedicating like a drive time to it or something. Which
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's a different feel, I guess. But that used to be my thing. It's like I I felt like I would create playlists for like the rest of that day, and then maybe I'd go back to them, maybe I wouldn't, and I would just make so many of them. Some of them would be really good, but
yeah,
it was just like whenever I had an iPod, there was like the on the go playlist that you could create just
right.
randomly. I had like 100 and something of them because I would just make them like every day. But
Yeah.
now, now I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I think that is the one place that I think I will create a playlist for, or that I would like to create a playlist for at the very least, is for like having a night driving kind of
Yeah,
playlist or a day driving kind of playlist. Um, because yeah, I agree. I think in part that's why I don't listen to as much music anymore as well, is just because like it's too convenient, I suppose, at home, right? I could literally be listening to music at every point in my day.
yeah,
I just have to start it up and do that. And there's no urgency with it because it's always available. It's and so ready. So that I guess that's also probably why I like taking night drives, is because it really reduces the number of distractions and other things that you can be doing, right? When you're driving, you're purely focusing on driving, and the music is the only other thing there, right? So you can really like sink into the music and get the most out of music, I feel like, when you're doing something like that, versus when you're like playing a video game or when you're sitting at home and you can have, YouTube up or whatever it is. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos
yeah,
when I'm home, and obviously that doesn't work well while listening to music, unless you're watching music videos, I guess.
yeah. Which even that's hard. Like, I don't know. I found myself lately because I'm in the same trap. I watch YouTube, and I feel like that's directly detrimental to my health
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
my mental health. No,
Yeah,
I mean maybe my health because I'm just sitting here doing
sure.
nothing. But like, it's something about it. It just doesn't feel the same, and it's kind of ruined me to the point where I feel like I need content that's not music, like somebody talking to me about a specific topic, or
Right.
just, I don't know, just explaining. I listen to all sorts of YouTube videos about shit that I don't care about.
Yeah.
And I'll make it 10 minutes into like a 50-minute video and be like, I don't care about this. Why did I just waste 10 minutes in this video? Like, I
Yeah.
don't need to know the lore behind the fucking this one episode of Steven Universe. I've never watched, like,
Yeah.
I've never seen that episode or whatever. And it just doesn't, I don't know.
I will say there's an interesting compromise, I guess, that I've made in my life, to try and combat that a little bit. And it's something that I don't want to say I really enjoy doing because it's such a passive thing for me. But the only Twitch streamer that I follow, Kyle Bossman, um, who's like he's like a video game guy. Like he's worked professionally in video games for most of his like career. He started up Easy Allies. He was one of the co-founders of Easy Allies back in the day, and he would do Tetris streams where he called it Bossman v Wozniak or whatever, because he's trying to beat Steve Wozniak's Tetris score that he submitted to Nintendo Power or something. Anyways, that's irrelevant. The point that I'm making is that he has all those VODs on YouTube that you can go back and watch, where he would just stream for a couple hours playing Tetris, and during those streams he would take user submitted tracks of like video game OSTs so that he wouldn't get copyright struck or whatever for streaming it. And I feel like that's a very that's a compromise for me, is that like I'm hearing him talk while playing the video games, and he'll oftentimes do like comedy bits and stuff, just improving or whatever. But he will always like cycles in new video game music and stuff. So there's always some sort of music playing that's interesting and new to me most of the time. And fucking people suggest really good video game OSTs because there are a lot of very good video game OSTs. And so it's kind of a fun like discovery time for that, even if I'm not like fully focusing and as I would be if I was like discovering music on my own and just listening to music. I think that's a fun middle ground. I think for me, that's I'm coming to the end because I did 52 weeks, and I think I'm on like week 48 or 49 or something.
Oh no!
So I'm coming to the end, and I don't know what I'm going to do after that. Maybe I'll just start it over again. But yeah, it does feel weird that like it's hard for me to just sit and listen to music now.
Yeah.
As opposed to just sitting and watching like a YouTube video about something that I don't really give a shit about.
What a weird sentence to say. And this is a realization. Well, this is a realization that I've had as well. Is like, I don't know. Cut back to 3 years ago, we were all fucking bright-eyed and like talking about music all the time. And we started a podcast about music, and then I don't know if it was just
the pandemic happened.
Like that's what I think. And I don't know if it was solely that, I mean, or other stuff, like, but
the vibe in the world has changed.
It has. Everything has fucking changed. And it's insane. You feel it, you see it in the way people act, the way people talk to each other, the way people think, the way people just like live their lives now. And
there's less enjoyment in the world.
There's a lot of other factors going into that.
For sure. Like, I am depressed and I am seeing a therapist. So and there's definitely more than that.
Which I think to actually put some music into here, I think that's why I've gravitated towards the AJJ record, the newest one. Disposable Everything is what it's called.
Go listen to it, everybody.
If you want to, because it's great. And it's part of the same reason that Jeremy was making a face because the sunlight fucking basked in.
It's been cloudy all day, so my window's open, or my blinds are up, but now the sun's peeking out from the clouds as it's setting, and it's very bright.
I saw your room just get infinitely brighter all of a sudden.
Yeah. Sorry to derail.
Oh, no, you're good.
Your AJJ relations.
AJJ has such a way of writing about just the absolute shit that's going on in the world, especially with this album, which I feel like I've talked about it before. I may have even talked about this album before. I don't know. I don't know if it was out the last time we did an episode, and if it was, I probably said something. But their previous album, Good Luck Everyone, it didn't really hit me that well. Mm-hmm. Not like a lot of their older music, like Knife Man and like People Who Can Eat People album.
Are the best people.
Yeah, or the best people, or are the luckiest people alive.
The luckiest people. Yeah,
I don't know the whole. It's a very long title because that was just the meme at that time, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, so this one was the first one in a while to really capture a lot. And I mean, part of it is just like, I'm not going to say that part of my mental health issues are not directly related to just the state of the world and my position in it.
Sure.
And it's done a very good job of talking about those sorts of issues.
It's kind of cathartic. in that way. Just like because I mean that's what they've always done as far as I'm aware. HAJ has always been like openly discussing societal issues and how fucked America is and the world is, and to some degree in society. But yeah, it hits different, I think, now, just because the world has changed so much, and while those issues have persisted, right? It's not like racism just went away because of the pandemic or something like that. But
it seems like it almost got worse.
It definitely probably has. But yeah, it's very like affirming and cathartic to like listen to that new HAJ album, just because it's so like genuine and it's expressing how I think a lot of the world is feeling. Just because it feels utterly hopeless, to be completely honest.
Like, is everybody else looking at the same shit I'm looking at? Like,
exactly.
What's happening?
Dude, that's a whole other discussion, I think. Just like the willful ignorance, I guess, of just like, am I doing it wrong because I'm upset by how fucked the world is, and not just burying my head in the sand and being happy, pretending like that shit's not happening? Who's in the wrong there? The answer is nobody's in the wrong, I guess.
Yeah, we're living in a death machine. Some of us are passengers and some of us are steering. Who knows?
Exactly. And yeah, HAJ, Disposable Everything, good album.
There we go.
To get your existential crises confirmed. I
also,
guess.
Jeremy's rec for this episode that I'm gonna just throw out here because I know he'd recommend it is Bully's "Lucky for You."
Oh, dude, I love that album.
So there we go. You have a rec from each of us now.
Yeah. We should do this more. We should have recs.
Okay.
I think we should do weekly recs. I think that's a good idea.
Let's bring back recs.
Yeah. I think we can incorporate that. We should also bring back. We should figure out the how we're gonna approach the do-overs.
Yeah. This is late enough in the episode that if anybody was listening, they're probably definitely not listening now. But if you are listening, we're toying with the idea of doing do-overs for bands that are first recs on our initial run, our first season, where we were just doing albums. Where the albums didn't necessarily land. Cough, cough, right. Hella, cough, cough.
Definitely hella.
We'll go back and try another album. Or, I don't know, maybe even try the same album.
Yeah.
Like,
we'll figure that out. Maybe that'll be the next episode is us stepping back in. But you guys don't need to hear us figure that stuff out. So if you guys have thoughts on moods and mental health and music and the correlation between those things,
or the state of the world, and you just want to scream into the void.
Yeah, hey, that's what we're doing here on this podcast. We're talking into the void. You can talk into the void with us.
Yeah.
Maybe feel a little bit less alone knowing that we're all talking into the same void.
Yeah.
Perhaps. But yeah, drop some comments. You know, all this social media bullshit that neither one of us really cares to keep up with.
Yeah.
Do the things, and we will read your comments.
Yeah. It'll happen.
Assuming we get notified of them, which we should.
We should.
I'm pretty sure we will see them. But I haven't gone out of my way to check.
Yeah.
God, I don't know. I'm just fucking rambling at this point. We just need to just stay in our feedback loop.
Bye.